Amen. Well, it's good to be saved, isn't it? That's good to be in church on a Friday night, isn't it? Good to be in church on a Friday night. And isn't it? Oh, well, it's just good to be saved. All right, open your Bibles somewhere. Hey, can I put in an ad? I have some bumper stickers. I don't have them with me. You'll have to go on the web page to get them. But I tell people all the time, I'm trying to get people to think because they don't. And so I made up some bumper stickers, and we offer them. They're $1 a piece. But now they're not scripture bumper stickers because Doc's got all the scripture bumper stickers you could want. I mean, unless you want an NIV or something. But we got about 45 different ones. I'll just give you a couple of them. Public education is child abuse. I call these adrenaline pumpers. This will clear the arteries of the guy behind you. All right? Trees are good for burning. Animals are good for eating. Environmentalists are good for nothing. If the earth is your mother, I walk on your mother. Dogs don't pray before they eat. The Gestapo, the KGB, and the news media enforce political correctness. When guns are outlawed, only liberals will have guns. Spank your child or they may grow up to be a Democrat. Democrats are tyrants, Republicans are cowards, Jesus Christ is our only hope. And then there's a series of them called Liberals Were Wrong, Spanking Makes Good Children, Liberals Were Wrong, Abortion is Murder, Liberals Were Wrong, Guns Stop Crime, Liberals Were Wrong, Muslims Can't Be Trusted. All Muslims owe all Americans an apology, demand it. Nazis murder Jews, communists murder dissenters, liberals murder babies. America, under God or underground. And then I got a couple of quotes by the founding fathers. Thomas Jefferson, the Bible is the source of liberty. Another one by Thomas Jefferson, the Bible makes the best people in the world. Americans, if you're wondering who those people are. Best people in the world are you guys. And if you want to know why the Muslims are as miserable as they are, it's because that's what the Koran makes. William Penn, those people who will not be governed by God will be ruled by tyrants. George Washington, it's impossible to rightly govern the world without God and the Bible. John Jay, he was the first Supreme Court Justice, Chief Justice. He said Americans should select and prefer Christians as their rulers. And then you know where you are? You're in your grandmother's church. You know what that means? You know, this war night thing, all this modern junk. They knock churches like this, and they I've seen ads. I saw an ad. It showed this boy, I think, with long hair wearing a skirt. And it said, it was a church advertisement. It said, this is not your grandmother's church. Thank God. Anyway, so I have one that says, you need your grandmother's church. So there's a bunch of others there. So if you want those, just samgipp.com. Those are there. They'll ship them off to you. And you can put those on and help the people in your neighborhood. The guy that drives behind you will probably live longer because his pulse will get up and the cholesterol will move out of it. And, you'll clear his arteries. So they'll never thank you, though. All right. James chapter 4. James chapter 4. We live in a society that has kind of watered down our vocabulary and watered down our words. How many times have you had this is your one big chance? This is your chance to win the lottery, or this is your chance to buy at this price. You'll never have this chance again. You'll never have this opportunity again. It says here in James chapter 4, verse 14, it says, whereas you know not what shall be in the morrow. For what is your life? It is even a vapor that appeareth for a little time and then vanisheth away. Let's bow our heads and let's talk to the Lord. Father, I thank you now, God, for your goodness and your grace and your kindness. Thank you, God, that although all of the heathen gods are angry, you are kind and you are benevolent and you are everything good and you are worthy of all worship and all praise. God, now I pray, Lord, that you will speak to the heart of each individual that is here. They came to church on Friday night. I hope that flipped your switch. And so, God, I pray, Lord, that you will be here, touch the heart of each person that is here. God, you have designs on each life represented, and I pray, God, that your designs are carried out in each of our lives. In Jesus Christ's name we pray, amen. It says again, whereas you know not what shall be on the morrow, for what is your life? It is even a vapor that appeareth for a little time, and then vanisheth away. You get these, now we don't get many because we don't have a phone, we don't have a house, but I know you get these guys call, and you know, this is your big chance. You could buy, I don't know, 400 pounds of ice cubes or something. This is your chance because they're going to be melted by next week. I don't know what this is, but you get, this is your big chance to do something. Let me tell you what a one chance is. You know what one chance is? I read a story. This fellow was piloting a B-24 during World War II. He was flying not over anywhere in Europe, not over anywhere in the Pacific. He was flying over the state of Washington. And they were planning to drop a new bomb, not the atomic bomb, but just a new bomb. And so he and his crew, 10 guys in this B-24, well, probably weren't 10 because they probably need the gunners, but they're in this B-24 flying over Washington, and this bomb worked so well that it blew up before it got out of the plane. And he said he's flying along, and suddenly the plane just exploded. The bomb ignited, the plane exploded, and blew this guy out into the air. Now, he is somewhere up around 10,000 feet, and he has fallen like a rock, and he's just been blown out of the pilot seat, and you can kind of figure out how this is going to turn out. But the guy said, as he was falling, he looked over, and here came a parachute. Not open, just the parachute, the satchel. And he said he reached out and grabbed it, put it on while he is falling, then pulled the ripcord. He was the only guy out of that flight that lived. That is one chance. Okay? When somebody says, this is the only chance you have, no. That is the only chance he had. Do you understand? And I'm going to talk to you tonight about something that you have only one chance. This is one chance. But first I want to talk to you about some things that preceded you. You know, we are Americans. I told you we put a great premium on our importance. I don't mean importance of America or Americans. I mean me. We put a great premium on the importance of me. And we fancy ourselves as being very important. The first thing I'd like you to know is that you are not eternal. By that, I mean that you have not always existed. You are in Mormon country, and you've got people walking around in your town that think that they have always existed, that they were a spirit somewhere in eternity, that it was up there bouncing around heaven, kind of a homeless spirit, actually a bodiless spirit, and some Mormon had to come down here, marry about 18 women, produce a body so the spirit could come down here and live a life and then become a god. That's not true, right? Do you understand tonight that there was a time when you never existed? In fact, a great deal of time when you and I never existed. We read Genesis 1:1, God created the heaven and the earth. Do you understand that when God created the heaven and the earth, you were not around? You were not a thought. You were not an idea. You were not conscious. You were not a soul waiting in suspended animation. You were not a spirit waiting for a body. I mean, when God made this world, you and I did not exist. When Lucifer ruled it, we did not exist. And I know some guys don't believe that, and that's fine. You don't have to believe that. But I believe that something went on between Genesis 1:1 and 1:2, and I think I've got it figured out, if you want to know the truth, okay? But when he was doing all that, all those things that went on, Jeremiah chapter 4, verses 23 through 26, Isaiah chapter 14, Ezekiel chapter 28, when all of those things happened in time past, we weren't around. Your soul didn't exist. Your psyche didn't exist. Your mind didn't exist. Your thought didn't exist. Your essence didn't exist. I mean, you and I were nowhere. We were nothing. We weren't even a thought. When God recreated this world, when he refired it, I don't know if you ever check. I'm not big on these, but every now and then I pick up some of those Reader's Digest The big books like this, you know, and they're mysteries of the world or something like that. You would be amazed how many dwelling cities and things like that they found around the world they can't explain. Almost like somebody had inhabited the world before you and I. And I'm not talking about 18 zillion or million years ago or anything like that. But there was a time when we didn't exist, when God made this world, when Satan ruled over it, when God knocked his kingdom out of there and recreated it and put man on this earth. You and I did not exist. We did not exist during the flood. Well, I had a 5th grade teacher. There's a good chance she may have existed during the flood. She may have. She was somewhere back in there. But the fact is that when all that transpired, Noah is building this ark. And here's the problem, see, because we read that all the time, right? And we read that and we kind of feel like we have a oneness with the scripture, like we're part of this. But I got news for you. You weren't part of this. You weren't around when it rained for 40 days and 40 nights. You weren't around when the ark was floating around on the deep. You weren't around when it came to rest on a mountain in Ararat. You weren't around when they came off of the ark. You were not around. You did not exist. I did not exist. We weren't here. I mean, you talk, well, I almost said it was an empty vacuum, but now we're back to some of you. Anyway, in Genesis chapter 12 is when God went to a man by the name of Abram, and he was up in Syria, and he chose that guy. Boy, didn't he start a story then? You know, we see that, and again, we see the calling of Abraham, and we know the end. But when that happened, nobody knew the end. Nobody knew what was going to take place. Man, wasn't that the beginning of a story? You know, if Hollywood was not so anti-Bible, couldn't they do a good job on it? You talk about a story. I mean, this guy is nobody. He was a pagan. He had the wrong gods. And you say, well, why did God choose him? Don't even know. I don't have any idea. You don't know. I don't know. God hasn't told us, and maybe he never will. But the fact is that when he picked Abraham, if he didn't pick Abraham, he might have picked somebody else. I'll tell you who he wouldn't pick. You. And he wouldn't pick me. Why? Why? Because we didn't exist. And all through Israel's history, all of the trials of Israel, Joseph being sold into slavery, and all of those problems, and all of the time in Egypt, and the brothers coming down, and trying to buy food during the famine, all that we read about, all those things that went on, we were not around. We didn't exist. I don't even mean that you were young. I don't mean that you were a thought. You weren't even a molecule. You weren't even an atom. I can't tell you that you were insignificant, because insignificant means you existed. You were nothing. In fact, you read that Old Testament, 39 books. Every word you read, everything that goes on that you read, everything you read about in the Old Testament, when every single act that we read about in the Old Testament, be it great or small, be it just the naming of a baby or parting the Red Sea, whether it's a grand thing or a small thing, every single thing that happened in the Old Testament, when it happened, you and I were not around. We didn't even exist. We did not exist when Jesus Christ walked this earth. We were not there at Bethlehem. We were not there at his baptism. We were not there at his crucifixion. We were not there at his resurrection. We feel like we have been there. We've read this book, and we're very excited about it, are we not? And we're thankful for it, are we not? But we weren't there. We were not there. There's an entire book called The Acts of the Apostles. You know why? Because it is the Acts of the Apostles. And it tells all of the things they did. And it tells how God began to move outside of Jerusalem, and how he located in Antioch, and how he spread the gospel and took it into Europe. And we know where it's gone since then, correct? And every time you read the Acts of the Apostles, and you read all 28 of those chapters, and you can get excited about it, you can not get excited about it, you can say, boy, I'm glad. Now look, we are connected to the book, right? That is our crowd. But when that was going on, you did not exist, and I did not exist. We were nothing. We weren't even a wind. We weren't a thought. We weren't an electron bouncing around in the universe. You're nothing, and I was nothing. In fact, again, everything you read in this New Testament, every single word, every person you read about, You weren't around when they lived. You weren't around when they were born. You weren't around when they lived. You weren't around when they died. I mean, we have a Bible, and every single word in it, we were not around when the things that this book talks about took place. Isn't that right? You did not exist, and I did not exist. And then through history have been some great things. I think the Reformation was a great thing. I think that Reformation started there with Martin Luther in Germany. I think it stepped across the English Channel into England. I think it got on a boat, came all the way over here, and I believe that this is still some fruit. The Christian founding of the United States is still some distant fruit from that Reformation. I think it's great. But when the Reformation took place, listen, when Martin Luther wrote out his 95 Thesis, when Martin Luther took it down to the chapel of Wittenberg, and when Martin Luther nailed it to that door to let all the world know that he was protesting what was going on in his church, you and I were not around. When Columbus got his idea to get his 4 boats and head across the ocean, I said that one time. Somebody said, oh, he only had 3. So, no, he had 4. Everybody knows he had 4. One went off the edge. But when Columbus got his idea to sail across the Atlantic, I mean, this guy took off. He sailed due west for 60 days. And the very day that he discovered the Western Hemisphere, that night, the night before that, his crew had decided, we're going to throw this guy overboard and turn around and go home. And all that he endured and all that he went through, you know, if there's ever been anybody savaged by secular history, it's Columbus. If you were raised in a public school, I was raised in a public school, and what that means is that I was lied to 5 days a week. And here's the kicker. Here's what they told me. They told me that all Columbus was interested in was gold. You know, you could get away with that kind of a statement if Columbus had not written a book. But he wrote a book. The book was called the Book of Prophecy. And in that book, Columbus's favorite book of the Bible was the book of Isaiah. It's in the book of Isaiah that says God sits on the circle of the earth. Columbus got the idea for a round earth from the book of Isaiah. And he said, in the book of prophecy, he said, God has laid it on my heart to take the message of Jesus Christ to heathen who have never heard. He was looking for a different kind of gold. He came over here 4 times. Now, here's what I was taught in public school. Maybe you were taught different. I was taught that he came over here 4 times and never really knew where he'd been. Now, think about the depth of that statement. Could you imagine seeing him after his 2nd trip? Hey, Chris, where you been? Oh. Where you going? Would you get on a bus with a guy? Hey, where are we going? Oh. Get on a plane sometime. I've been on some of those where they didn't know, but really, could you imagine getting on a boat? This guy sailed here 4 times. How do you sail someplace 4 times and not know where you've been? He knew where he'd been. He knew where he was going. He knew where he'd been. But you weren't around, and I was not around. And we never heard about it because we were not there. We did not exist. We were not a molecule. We were not an atom. We were not a thought. We weren't a wish. We weren't there. The revolution, when this country was founded, 1776, that was a great thing. But we weren't there. We read about it, and we feel a oneness with the guys that went to war. Those are our people, are they not? Those were the founding fathers of this nation. And they were great men, and they paid a great price, did they not? And you know, one of the problems is that we look at those men and we've watched so many guys in television, and you watch these movies. You know what I get tired of in movies? The good guy or the bad guy, either one, never being afraid. I mean, the good guy can have 18 armed men pointing guns at him, and he'll have some smart statement. You ever notice that? Yeah. And then whip all 18 of them. Yeah, just like real life. You have to understand that when these men signed that Declaration of Independence, they were signing their death warrants, and for some of them, that's exactly what it was. Some of them died during that revolution. Many of them were captured, they were tortured, they were put to death. Many of them lost everything they had, and some of the men who put their names on the Declaration of your independence and my independence died paupers who were wealthy men when they signed that instrument. Now, guys, we've benefited from that, have we not? But you weren't around when it happened. You weren't there. You weren't there when Paul Revere rode. You weren't there when the first shot was fired. You weren't there to hear about the defeats time and again. Good night. You know what? We could not fight a war like the Revolution today. If we don't win every single battle, we lose a helicopter or plane today, and you'd think we lost the war. You know how many times George Washington lost and lost and lost and lost? It's a good thing we weren't around. We'd have just decided to stay British. But we weren't there. We weren't there when they fought the Civil War. Well, I mean, other than maybe Lee Holmes. But most of us weren't there. He was probably middle-aged or a little older than that at that time. Now, I'm sorry this isn't in my message, but I just have to say it. I'm from Ohio. If you're from the South, we won. I'm on the winning side. We beat you. In the South, we'll rise again. We'll beat you again. I was talking to a pastor down south. I was talking on the phone. I was glad he found out how to use it. But anyway, and it was when John was getting ready to get married. And he said, when's John getting married? And I said, April 26th. I said, he's getting married April 26th. I said, that's the day before my birthday. He said, you were born on April 27th? I said, yep. I said, that's the birthday of another great American. He said, who? I said, Ulysses S. Grant. Ulysses S. Grant's birthday is my birthday, April 27th. That's why I like cars, guys. I have to like cars. I was born on 4/27. But anyway, but I said, yeah, another great American was born on that day. He said, who? I said, Ulysses S. Grant. He's on the phone. He goes, he's just a drunk. I said, well, he beat you. He said, you know what would have happened if he'd have sobered up? I said, yeah, the war would have been over sooner. I have a new cell phone. I don't know, I don't know anything about those things. And I mean, I see people, they program these things. I mean, they play all this different stuff, and mine just plays something. But the one I had before this, I really liked it. You know why? Because when it rang, it played Dixie. And I was someplace and my phone rang and it played Dixie, and this preacher was with me. He's from the north, and he goes, I thought you're for the north. I said, I am. He said, then how come your phone plays Dixie? I said, man, we won. It's ours now. I was talking to one of them guys one time, and he said, I told him we won, just reminded him. and he goes, yeah, you know what you got when you won? I said, yeah, the South. No, that was just for the benefit of you folks from the South, and I only did that to bother you and upset you, okay? I don't want you to misunderstand. I wouldn't want you to think that I was trying to be nice. You say, why do you do that? Because you guys get up behind pulpits and always rail on us Yankees. And we can take it. I was down south, and I was reading from this little booklet, that little orange, the little yellow bordered booklet that I had years ago. And I was reading from quotes from Great Americans. And I said, there's even one here by Robert E. Lee. There was. Robert Lee made this statement. He said, the Bible is this is not going to be word for word, but he said, the Bible is a book above all other books. Something like that. That's what Robert E. Lee said. He's a saved man. But anyway, I said, there's even a statement in here by Robert E. Lee. And when I said that, the pastor was sitting right about where Brother Mitchell is, and he stood at attention and put his hand over his heart. And I went, oh yeah, here it is. Okay, Ulysses, you win. Here's my sword. He goes, oh. And that was his Appomattox. Guys, I'm not happy about the Civil War, really. I'm not happy about it. I'm glad. Look, I know everybody says, well, if the South would have won, there'd be two great nations. No, there wouldn't. Virginia was about that close to getting out of the Confederacy when the war ended. I'll tell you what would have happened. Some of you, maybe your state never would have gotten in either one. You wouldn't have gotten into the Union. You wouldn't have gotten into the Confederacy. There had never been a great nation, and God knew what America could do. And this country has always been a great force. Maybe it's getting bad, but it's always been a great force for good and a great force for the gospel. And had the South won, there would have not been two strong nations. There would have been about 18 or 20 or 100 little countries. Might have been 48 of them down here, okay? And it would just, one would have split after the next. I mean, it would have been like a bunch of Baptists. So I'm sorry about the Civil War. I am glad we won. But here's what I want you to know. Now I'm stopping at the Civil War. I could come this way a little bit, but I might get into some of your birthdays. But the fact is that when all these things happened, you did not exist and I did not exist. Maybe I'm talking to somebody and you'd say, but preacher, you know what? My grandfather fought in the Civil War. My wife's either great-grandfather, I think her great-grandfather or great-great-grandfather fought for Napoleon. Okay? And so maybe you're saying, well, you know what? My great-grandfather or whatever great-great-grandfather fought in the Civil War for the North, for the South, whatever the case may be. Yeah, but that's as close as you got. You weren't around. Correct? First point's done. Second point. Now here you are. And you're now immortal. If you are here tonight and you've trusted Jesus Christ as your personal Savior, this flesh, this heart may quit beating. We may put your body in a hole in the ground, but you will never cease consciousness. Isn't that right? Now, for some of you, you long ago have ceased consciousness, but the fact is that you are not, like I said, you are not eternal because you have not always existed. But when we were conceived, we came into existence. I believe that. I don't believe it was your birthday. I don't believe it was when you drew your first breath. I think it was at conception. Not going to argue with you about it. I'm right. And you and I came into existence, and now we have been around for X number of years. Some few, some more. My wife has a great aunt, her grandmother's sister. We just visited her in a nursing home. She is 100 years old. That's old. My wife's great-grandmother, the one whose father or husband, whichever it was, fought for Napoleon, she died when she was 99. I figure my wife's got a good chance. She's going to hang around for a long time. But the fact is, guys, the fact is that you and I were born, and when you trusted Jesus Christ as your personal Savior, here's what you did. You got into something that was eternal. Correct? In fact, something eternal got into you. Isn't that right? The Holy Spirit of God. Jesus Christ now resides in us. Now you and I are, though the body may cease, but we are really never going to die. And if the Lord comes back and takes us up, one of these days, we're gone up either by death or the rapture, right? One of these days, you're going to clutch your heart or like the preacher said, run a red light. But one way or another, you're either gonna die or you're gonna hear the loudest trumpet you have ever heard. I've often thought about that, what that's gonna be like. I don't care where you are, I don't care what you're doing. You ever work next to loud equipment? You ever been someplace where something was running and it's going, and it's right there, and you're talking to the guy and he's going, I said, yeah. And the guy is, you can see it's like he's not even making any noise, he's just motioning his lips. You can be working right next to that piece of equipment the day of the rapture, and I want you to know something. You're going to hear something. And you are going to hear something. And I would like to think that it's going to just, the Bible talks sometimes about that trump that waxes louder and louder and louder, and you're going to be doing something, you're just going to go. Well, you're going to hear that, and you know what? I mean, it's going to come. You're going to know where we're headed, and it is going to be wonderful, isn't it? And so here you are now, and you are destined. You are destined to go to heaven. Some sooner, some later. But you're going to heaven, correct? I don't know if you ever thought about this when you think about heaven. I know you think about the wonder and the glory and what we're going to see and what we're going to hear. And you know what I've always thought? I wonder what it's going to smell like. We're going to smell heaven. Probably something between a cinnamon roll and fried chicken is what I actually think. Because that's as close, I think, as your nose can get down here. But have you ever just smelled something down here? You ever just smell the air? I'm not talking about pollution. I'm not even talking about the fragrance of flowers. I mean, have you ever a lot of times it's in the spring, and the air has that smell to it that it just gets your attention. I think heaven, look, guys, if this can smell good, don't you think heaven's got something? We are going to smell heaven when we get there. We're going to get to heaven, and we're going to look at the city. We're going to look at the throne. You know what I am looking forward to in heaven? I am looking forward to finding out the truth behind my favorite verse in the Bible. Do you know what my favorite verse in the Bible is? Revelation 10:4. You know what Revelation 10:4 is? That's where the Bible says John was about to write and say what was in the seven thunders, and the Lord said, don't write. I thank God for Revelation 10:4. You know why? Had the Lord let John write down those 7 thunders, we would now know what happened in those 7 thunders. By now, we would have preached it, we would have taught it, and we think we know the whole Bible. Because God didn't let John write, there's something we don't know. Can you imagine King James Bible-believing Ruckmanites that don't know everything? You know, I've often said the most horrible thing, you know what the most horrible thing you can do is be like an old Methodist that got saved and never got in the Bible and die beside a King James Bible-believing Baptist. And the two of you head for heaven at the same time. Could you imagine? You walk up here and go, hey, the guy go, wow, look at those gates. Well, those look like pearl. No, of course they're pearl. You didn't know that? Oh, you have 3 on this side, there's 3 on the back, 3 on each side. Hey, you see those colored stones there? I memorized those in Sunday school. You rattle them off. Hey, you see this? This ain't plexiglass, pal. This is gold. I mean, we're going to step through the gates of glory, you know, and he's going to go, hey, you the 4 faces, come here. I want my friend to meet you. You know what's going to happen to you and me in heaven? This is really going to happen. I don't care how well you've got Revelation down. I don't care if you've got Daniel figured out. I don't care if you think that you could write a commentary on Zechariah and not make any mistake. You and I are going to step into heaven. We're going to go, yeah, there's $420. Yeah, there's beasts. Yeah. Well, what's that? Well, I read Ruckman's Revelation commentary, and I didn't read about that. Right? Man, isn't it going to be nice to get up there and be in heaven? You know that when you get into heaven, I'm talking about we're going to get past that past the judgment seat of Christ. You're not going to cry anymore. You're not going to be grieved anymore. You're not going to be tired anymore. You're not going to be hungry anymore. A little bothers me. But you're not. I mean, it is going to be heaven. I like the idea of all the things I'm going to see, I'd like to watch the 4 beasts and the 4 and 20 elders in action. You know, look over here, because I just love this. My favorite chapter is Revelation 4. I love this. Now, I'm sorry, guys. I get into the book. And by that, I mean this. I tell people when you read the Bible, you need to get into what you're reading. I don't mean get involved. I mean just be a viewer there. And it says this in verse 6, before the throne there was a sea of glass, like unto crystal in the midst of the throne, and round about the throne were 4 beasts full of eyes, before and behind. The first beast was like a lion, the second beast like a calf, the third beast had a face as a man, and the fourth beast was like a flying eagle. And the 4 beasts had each of them 6 wings about them, and they were full of eyes within, and they rest not day and night. Now listen, they rest not day and night, saying, Holy, 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 Lord God Almighty, which was and is to come. You know what they just said? That's what's going on in heaven as I speak. Right? You know, if while I was preaching, if the pastor, if somebody came in here and came down to the pastor and handed him a note, he might come in and say, guys, they just bombed the White House. And the country's going to war. Or he might stop the service and say, hey, we just found out your house has burned and there's been a tragedy in your family. We would stop because of something like that. When we got done, pass that note on to heaven. And you know what these 4 beasts would do? They'd take one look at it and go, yeah, house burned. Mm-hmm. Holy, 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 and go right back at it. There isn't anything down here that is going to stop this. And it says this, Holy, 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 Lord God Almighty, which was and is to come. Then it says this in verse 9, and when those beasts give glory and honor and thanks to him that sat on the throne, who liveth forever and ever, the 4 and 20 elders fall down before him that sat on the throne, and worship him that liveth forever and ever, and cast their crowns before the throne, saying, now let me explain something, guys. I will confess what you suspect. I am a little warped. But I am only a little warped. I am not near as bad as what you think. But I am a little warped. And I'll tell you when I discovered this. I discovered it when I noticed that whenever something happened, everybody looked at it one way, and I always end up looking at it a different way. I just have naturally, all my life, everybody sees this, and I've always seen this. And whenever I read that, now see the scene, okay? You've got the throne. It's on the sea of glass. You've got the 4 beasts. Around them are 24 thrones and 24 elders. And these guys sound off, holy, 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 Lord God Almighty, which was, which is, and which is to come. When that happens, the 4 and 20 elders cast their crowns at the Lord's feet, correct? No, I know this didn't happen. I know this didn't happen. Let me tell you about a guy I had in my church. This did happen. I had a guy in my church, and he would occasionally get excited. I'd be preaching along, and I tell you, I could tell when liftoff was near. I'd just be preaching, and I'd happen to see him over here, and here's what I'd see him do. He'd go like this, go. No, that's not a problem. That's not a problem at all. I'm not worried about a thing, but I make a note. That's the first time. And I'd be preaching along, and all of a sudden, I'd see him go like this. Second time, he'd go like this. Now, when he did second time, that's a problem. When he did it the second time, you know what I did? I looked to see who was sitting in front of him, because we were about to lose a church member. They were either going to leave and never come back or die where they sit. Because this guy, I'd be preaching along, and he'd go like this, first time. Second time. Third time. Woo! I mean, he'd come straight up out of his seat. I mean, about 5 people just crumble over their chairs with heart attacks. And I've often watched in my mind, these 4 beasts, and one of them say, hey, you guys, you've been watching number 3? He is always, of those 24, number 3 is always first one down. And one back here goes, what? Didn't you see number 11? I mean, he's not always first, but he's beat number 3 several times. The guy back here goes, you guys got all them eyes, and you can't see number 17? And this guy up here says, oh, no, guys, it's number 22 every time. They said, well, let's find out. Holy, holy, holy. And then 4 and 20 elders go, Lord God Almighty, which was and is to come. And about that time, man, 4 and 20 elders go, woo! Off they come. Down go the crowns. They worship. Number 21 beats them all. Now, I told you I'm a little warped. And now think about this, because you don't think. This is going on over and over and over, even as I speak to you, right? You know what always excites me when I think about this? I always wonder how many times this goes on just while I'm preaching. And when I'm preaching, it probably goes on about twice as long as it does when other people are preaching. But now get this. These guys sound off. The 4 and 20 elders cast their crowns. They worship the Lord. And then these guys sound off again. And the 4 and 20 elders fall down and worship him and cast their crowns again, correct? All right, then at some point, when these guys fall down, throw their crowns, and fall down and worship him, at some point they get back up and sit back down. Right? Have you ever thought about that? I mean, that's not profound, but you ought to try thinking about something. So I call that reloading. They reload. Now, question. When they sit back down, and when these guys sound off again, holy, 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 they have a crown on their head again. Right? How to get there? Do they pick up the crown they just threw down at the Lord's feet, put it back on their head and sit down? Or do they get a new crown? That's not profound, but you never thought about it. I've always thought it had to be one of 2 things. Either they put, and I've always thought they just put the crown back on their head and sat back down. The reason I thought that is because if they don't, then they must have a box of crowns, right? And then at some point, there must be a crown drain. Because there's going to be an awful lot of crowns in front of that throne after a while. And I thought I had this figured out. I thought, one or other. They either put the crown back on their head and sit down, or they've got a box of crowns and put on a new crown. And then I met a Pollock. He heard me say that one time, and he came up. He had the answer. He said, ever go bowling? Leave it to a Pollock. A crown return. They cast them down. They sit down. Hey, I'm going to find out how it really happens. I'm going to be right there. I'm going to watch those 4 guys sound off. I'm going to watch those 24 elders come off their seats. I'm going to watch them cast their crowns before the Lord. I'm going to watch them get down. I don't know if I'm going to, honest, I really don't think we're going to watch after that. I think we're probably going to be on our faces too. And I just got to finish the chapter. It says, thou art worthy, O Lord, to receive glory and honor and power, for thou hast created all things, and for thy pleasure they are and were created. People, one of these days, not only are you going to see that, it's going to become common. Isn't that right? It's going to be something. And I don't know what it is. What is it? What is it about our brains that something new excites us, and then after we have it a while, it doesn't do anything for us? You guys, you ever go out, you buy a new tie, and you go, man, I like that tie. And then after a while, it's just another tie. I was an assistant pastor in a church back in Ohio of about, it was about 1,800 people, and there was a guy in this church. I like colors. And this guy had this real colorful tie. And every time he'd wear it, I go, boy, that's a pretty tie. And he'd wear it again. I said, man, I like that tie. And I wasn't trying to that. And one Wednesday before service, I said, boy, that's a pretty tie. He goes, I'm going to give it to you. I said, oh, brother. I said, I'm not trying to get your tie. I said, I didn't mean to, I wouldn't have said anything if I thought you were going to give me the tie. He says, nope, I told my wife next time Sam says he likes his tie, I'm giving it to him. Right after church, I'm coming down and giving it to you. Service was over. He came right down after church, took tie off, handed to me. So what do you think of that? I said, boy, that's a nice suit coat. I said, man, you drive a nice car. I was just back in that church this past New Year's Day, and he came down to me. He walked up and I said, man, that's a nice tie. He said, get out of here. What is it? What is it? What is it? You get something new and you're all excited, and then after you have it for a while, it's just not exciting anymore. I don't think this is ever going to get old. Whatever that is in us, it's got to be something that is directly connected to our humanity. We are going to get into heaven. I think it's going to be as exciting the 1,000,000th time you see this as it was the very first. It's always new to those 4 and 20 elders. We're going to see the Lord. Won't that be nice? We were singing the song the other day, I'll know him by I want to see, what's the one? I want to see the Lord first, and I'll know him by the nail scars in his hands. You know who wrote that? You know who it was that wrote that? Fanny Crosby. Couldn't say. You know why she wrote that? Because some smart mouth came up to her and said, Fanny, you're blind. How are you going to know Jesus Christ when you get to heaven? And she said, well, I'll know him by the nail scars in his hands. She said, could you imagine being blind and saying, I want to see my Savior first of all? Could you imagine the first thing you ever see be your Savior? Well, there's got to be something said for that. I don't want to be blind, but there'd have to be something said for that. And we are going to see the Lord. And all of the theories and all of the ideas and all of the preaching, brother, it is going to be like dust in the wind. It isn't going to matter. And we're going to see Jesus Christ in eternity. We're going to spend time with him. Some, I can't say this for everybody. Some are going to rule for eternity. Isn't that right? I think it was your pastor or somebody, I was telling somebody the other day, I hope I rule. And if I get to rule for eternity, I want the worst city in the world. I don't want a good place. I want the worst. I want the one that has like Democratic headquarters. I mean, I want CNN in my city. I want all of the liberal magazines and newspapers to be there. You know what I look forward to? I look forward to being an eternal judge and have some crook in my court. And when he starts spewing all this stuff, I just look forward to saying, go to hell. And when his lawyer says, I object, say, oh, you go with him. He said, that'll never happen. You come to my court in eternity and see. We're going to have the opportunity. Come on, guys, come on. Don't you guys, you wouldn't say it, but some of you think you could run the state better than your governor. And you think you could run the country better than the president. Somebody's going to get a chance. We're going to have the opportunity to rule with him. One of the things I think about eternity? Praise will be natural. It will be natural for us to worship him. It will be natural for us to subject ourselves to him. It will be natural for us to humble ourselves before him. It will be natural for us to say what these guys say And I mean it from all of our heart. You know what I really look forward to in heaven? I won't be able to hurt the Lord by accident. I'm not talking about the hypocrite that is one person in church and gets out of town and out of sight and is another person. I'm talking about you. Some of you, you know what you've been doing since you got saved? You have been doing everything, absolutely everything within your power to walk the straight and narrow and to do right and to be glory to Him. And you know there's been times when you dropped the ball and you hurt Him by accident. Isn't that right? Won't it be nice? We won't even be able to hurt Him by accident. So here is where you never existed. And here is where you will exist for the rest of eternity. And you know what is in between that? This period of time that we're in right here. Do you know what you are? I don't know if you ever thought about this. You know what you are right now? I'm not going to call you a bad name. You are an acorn. You are a seed. That book says that the seed doesn't even grow until it's died. You and I haven't even died yet. We think, especially you get older, you say, well, man, I've lived a long life and I've fulfilled my time. Your time? Are you kidding? This period of time that we live in, all that way you never existed. From here on out, when you die or the Lord comes back, you'll exist forever. And in between the thickness of that paper is the time you have this earth. You're on this earth. 70 years, 80 years, 90 years, 100 years, I don't care. I don't care. I don't care if you live to be 100. I don't care if you live to be 110. You don't want to live to be 110. If you live to be, once you live to be 100, you know what you'll do every birthday? You'll celebrate your birthday with idiots. Because every birthday, somebody from a newspaper will show up with airplane landing lights shining in your face, and they'll go, so how's it feel to be 100? Or 110? You're just trying to breathe. I saw this on television. This lady was 100. I think she was 115 years old. And you can see her skin peeling off from the lights, burning her flesh off. And these people are all excited, I mean, come on, man. You walk up to somebody that's 110 and go, how'd you live to be 110? Don't die. They said one guy lived to be 105, and they said, how do you live to be 105? He said, well, after you're 100, you gotta be real careful. I am taking that advice. I'm telling you right now, guys, once I hit 100, I'm slowing down. But they had this lady, she's 115 years old, and they asked her, they said, so how does it feel to be 115? Ought not to ask somebody 115 that question. What do you think she's gonna say? Oh, man, great. She goes, well, right now, I'm just a little bit tired. They should have asked you, and what did you do on your 115th birthday? Sat up. And what would you like to do now? Lay back down. Who wants to live that long? But if you live that long, it's still that little piece of paper, isn't it? It is the edge of that little piece of paper. That's your life and mine. You know what that tells me? You know what you are living in? You're living in your one chance. This is your one chance to get something for eternity, correct? Look, I've been through that book. You've been through that book. You had it taught to you. You had it preached to you. I've never found anything in here that says we're going to get rewards in eternity. I mean, once you get over there, once this time period ends and we're in eternity, there's nothing out there we're going to do that's going to get us rewards. It's all what we do here. So what is this? This is your one chance, right? This is your one chance. You know what? I told you, when we get into eternity, I said praise will be natural, right? Right? Praising God will be our nature. Let me ask you a question. When you get into eternity, what are you going to sacrifice for Him? That's right, nothing. What can you sacrifice for Him? Nothing. What can you give up? Where could you be coming up short? Where could you say no to yourself and not get what you want? Where could you deny yourself? Where can any of the opportunities? See, you think, oh man, I'm saved now and I'm not allowed to do this and I can't do that and I can't. Wait a minute. Those aren't denials, man. Those are opportunities. This is the one chance you have to do something for Him. And the fact is, guys, that for almost, I'll bet at least half of you, it's more than halfway over. You know how I knew the Bible was the Word of God? I knew the Bible was the Word of God when I was 35 years old. I knew it. You know why? Because that Bible says when you're 70, you're dead. And when I was 35, I felt half dead. But you and I are closer. Look, I mean, I've already gone 5/5 or 5/7 of the way toward this step. You understand? And many of us are closer to eternity than we are to our birth. Isn't that right? You know what I'm telling you? I am telling you this is our one chance to do something for God. You know where many of you make a mistake? It's not that you don't want to serve God. You know where you make a mistake? Let me tell you something. If you remember anything I say, will you please remember this? You only have so many productive days in your life. Now, your problem is that you think if this is Sunday, then Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday can be a productive day. And if I want to do something, I don't get it done on Monday, I'll just do it on Tuesday. That is not realistic. You know those bumper stickers? I just got them done. The first time I gave them to a printer was 1998. You say, what happened? I turned it over to a guy. I trusted him to get it done. He didn't get it done. And I just keep busy, guys. And by the time I could get it to another printer, I got it to another guy, and he sat on it for about 6 months to a year. And it took this long. Now, who would think? So why don't you just go to a printer and get them done? That's what people who don't do anything say. You have no idea. You think you have got every day from here to you end. You die or the Lord comes back. You think that any one of those days you could go out and sacrifice for the Lord and serve the Lord. You know that's not true. You think that every day between now and the last day you're on this earth can be a day when you can do something for the Lord and you can produce for the Lord and you can sacrifice for the Lord and you can be productive for the Lord. And I am telling you that is not the way it is. Life will keep you busy. You know, I'll get into a place. Right now, I am, today I was, I'm scheduling for 2008. I usually do it in January, and for the last couple of years, it ends up being a month late. And let's say I'm coming into town, and I'm going to get there Saturday, and I'm going to preach Sunday, and I say, okay, Monday, I'm going to start my scheduling. But Monday, we have a problem with the bus. And so I spend all day Monday working on it. And now I didn't get my scheduling done. And then Tuesday, the preacher said, hey, we're going to go do this and this and this. So Tuesday, and it's gone. And then Wednesday, I just got one of those days where I can't get out of bed. Now, I've lost 3 days. I mean, it was 4 days maybe before I could finally get to what I thought I could do any single day I wanted to. What I'm telling you guys is you and I only have so many productive days in our life, but this right here is our one chance. This is your one chance. This is your one chance to sing for the Lord like you never sang before. Oh, look, you'll hit the notes on the other side, and your voice literally will be angelic. But you know what I like? I like the idea of a bunch of walking, talking dirtballs who in the last 7 days have used their mouth for something they shouldn't have. I'm talking to people tonight in the last 7 days. You have said some things with your mouth that you wish you hadn't said and that you're not too proud of. Isn't that right? Well, I got news for you. When you, the person I'm talking to, you come in and you open up that songbook and you start singing, I'm not here to call you a hypocrite for singing about the Lord. You know what? It blesses me that you get to sing about the Lord. I like the idea that we who take these lips and take these vocal cords and take the air going through them and we misuse it and we mess up, I like the idea we can come to church and finally do something right with them. And this is our chance, guys. This is our one chance. This is our one chance in eternity. A number of years ago, it's first time I had a meeting in Hawaii. It was somewhere in 1990. It was 1990. And anybody here ever been up Diamond Head? How many of you ever walked up Diamond Head? How many? Let me see. Well, that's not many. Okay, good. The rest of you were smart. Diamond Head. You drive through a tunnel, and what you're driving through is a crater of Diamond Head volcano. I think it's a mile across. You actually drive through a tunnel. You're driving through the lip of the crater. And Diamond Head, here's what you do. You park your car. You walk up a long concrete walkway. Then it goes to a dirt path. Then you start winding back and forth up the inside lip of this crater. Then you go through a tunnel. Now, this at the top of Diamond Head during World War II, they didn't have guns. The guns were actually on the backside. They had the observation post. And every day, Navy guys would walk up there. And you walk back and forth up this pathway. Then you come to a tunnel, but there's two problems with the tunnel. Number one, it isn't straight. It has a bend in it, so you can't see the other end. The second one is there's no light. So literally, you're walking along, holding onto a guardrail. There's only a guardrail on one side. And so you say, well, I'll just hold on to the guardrail. But the guy coming your way has the same idea. Oh, excuse me. You say, that's awful. Well, it has an upside. You can punch a guy and you'll never know. But wait, when you get through the tunnel, you have 99 steps. 99 steps, and I mean, they go, thing is about this wide, and you go way up there. Now you're just into where the beginning of the place. Then there is a circular stairway that you go up into. And actually now when you get in there, you don't stay inside the observatory, but you actually crawl out through the observation slit and get up on top of Diamond Head. I got tired telling you about it. My wife and I went up Diamond Head in 1990. We went up another time after that. I don't know why, probably because there's no purgatory. But the first time we went up Diamond Head, I'm telling you, and I was in good shape back then, and I mean, we were whipped. And then you come down. We came down the spiral, down the 9-inch steps, down through the tunnel, punched a couple guys, came down back and forth across the thing, down to the gravel walkway, onto the concrete walkway. Just as I got to the concrete walkway, we're not too far from the parking lot. Maybe from here to, what is it, Overland Road? What's that road? Overland, okay. About that far from the parking lot. And there's all kinds of people heading up Diamond Head, and you're going, oh, nothing to you. I see a guy coming our way. He is all by himself. He looks to be maybe 90 pounds. I would guess him somewhere in his 80s. He is walking with a cane. He is on the sidewalk. He's not even on the gravel yet. He's on the easiest part there is, and he's walking like this. And when I saw him coming, I stopped him. And I said, hey, Pop. I said, let me tell you something. I said, the concrete ends here. And I said, it's a gravel path for a while. And I said, that's all right. But I said, it's going to zigzag back and forth, and it's pretty steep. And I said, then you're going through a tunnel. Then I said, you've got 99 steps, and they are straight up. And then you're going to have to go up a spiral staircase. I mean, I can't see this guy making it. You know what he said? Thank you. You say he was an idiot. Know what I think he was? You know what I really think he was? I think he was a guy that was on Diamond Head when he was about 20 years old in the military. I think he'd been up there before. And he knew his days on this earth weren't long. He had one chance to see that view again. I don't know if he ever made it or not. I wouldn't be surprised if he died going up there. But it was his one chance. You know what I'm telling you? For all that time, you and I did not exist. For all that eternity, we are going to exist. And in between is this little blink of an eye. I mean 70 years. And you know what this is? This is our one chance to do something for the Lord. I told you, I heard a guy say something the last day of the new year. You know, did you give everything for God last year? And I'm going to tell you something, guys. I gave everything I had. I gave it absolutely everything. I checked. I didn't hold back anything. Guys, I am driven. You know why? Because I know if anybody in this room understands their mortality, I understand mine, and I know my productive days are limited. And I am running absolutely full speed. I am no holds barred. I'm not afraid of dying. You know what I'm afraid of? I'm afraid of not getting to do every single thing I can do for the Lord in this one opportunity that I have. You know what some of you are going to do? You're going to pass off this scene. And I really say this, I say it jokingly, but some Christians are going to spend about their first 1,000 years in heaven bent over. You'll see them walking down the street, bent over, and every time they see somebody, they're going to say, please kick me, because I was such a fool. I was interested in a better golf swing. I was interested in having the only lawn that had no dandelions. I was interested in a house that looked like a picture out of Country Living magazine. I was interested in pleasure. I was interested in taking care of myself and pleasing myself. You had one opportunity when you could sacrifice. You had one opportunity when you could produce. You had one opportunity when you could do something for the Lord. And you took care of doing something for yourself. I read a story. It happened in the 60s. A young man took his girlfriend and her 9-year-old brother for a boat ride in the Niagara River above the falls. He's taking this, he's going to impress this girl and her boy, her son, or her young brother. And he's up in the river, and he hit a rock and hit the shear pin and knocked the prop loose. Now he's got no control over the boat. Above the falls are some rapids, and as that boat started down toward the falls, the rapids turned it over. All three of them were thrown out of the boat. The young man went over the falls and was killed. Ironically, the 9-year-old boy, wearing nothing but a life jacket, went over the falls and lived. But the girl is going over the falls. How many here have ever been to Niagara Falls? Anybody here? Okay, if you've ever been to Niagara Falls, you can stand and the falls are right there. Isn't that right? You can stand on the Canadian side. I don't mean the falls are out there. I mean they are right there. There's guardrails here, but the falls are right here. It's pouring over. You can look at it right there. And this girl is headed over the falls. And she is coming by, and she is going to go right there. And there was a man standing there who had been admiring the falls. He saw the thing take place. Here's this girl screaming. I mean, the water, she's cooking, buddy. She is really moving. This water is really moving. This guy's got one chance. She's got, obviously, her hand out. And as she passed beneath him, this guy reached over top of that railing, swung his arm down. His arm hit hers. They locked. And as her feet went out over the falls, he hauled her right up over there and saved her life. He never had a second chance. Do you understand? If at any point he'd have said, look, if she'd have gone over, you know what he'd spend the rest of his life doing? I timed it wrong. I was a little early. I was a little late. I had her, and she slipped from my grip. You understand that the rest of his life, all he would have done the rest of his life was think about what I did wrong in that one fleeting second that I had. I only had one chance, right? You know that's what some of you are going to do for eternity? For eternity, you're going to say, I had one chance to sing for him. I had one chance to give for him. I had one chance to make my time count for him. I had one chance to spend every waking hour, to use every bit of my energy and every bit of my strength and every bit of my power and all of my influence and absolutely every thought. I had one chance to do it for him, and I wasted it on something that the television told me to be excited about. All those years, you didn't exist. All those years, you'll be in eternity. And in between is the blink of an eye. And for some of us, the blink is down, and when it comes up, it's over. Right? What are you going to do with your chance? You can't blame your preacher. Look, I don't care what you say. You get on the other side. Don't you blame your pastor. Well, he didn't warn me. He didn't tell me. No. I'll guarantee your preacher told you. But if you've got any love for the Lord in your heart, you should have figured it out yourself. Isn't that right? This is your one opportunity. Your life is a vapor, and it is fleeting away as I speak. And this is your one chance for when you get on the other side. Over there, guys, over there, praise will come from our lips, and it'll be perfect, and it'll be natural. Only here can we really prove our love by what we give up for Him, by the sin we turn from, by the fun we sacrifice, by the time and the effort and the strength and the money that we give. Only here, this one blink of an eye, this is the only opportunity we have. I mean, and it's going to pass us by. I'd like you to stand. You've heard it before, only one life soon will be passed. Only what's done for Christ will last. You say, preacher, is there any time for me to do anything for the Lord? I know there's time to do something for the Lord. You know how I know? 2 reasons. He hasn't come and you're not dead. He has not come yet and you're not dead. That means there is time to put the hammer down. I live with my foot to the floor. I am telling you right now, I live with, pedal to the metal. I told somebody, I said, I got so many irons in the fire, I need a bigger fire. And I have people tell me all the time, well, you ought to cut back and you ought to slow down. No. This is my one chance. Don't you understand? This is my one chance. We can rest in eternity. This is my one shot at actually doing something for Him of my own free will. This is the one chance I've got to shortchange Sam's Gipp for Him. This is one chance that I can run until I drop. And it doesn't bother me if I go until I drop. It won't bother me if I drop. You understand me? I don't care what happens. I care about this one blink of an eye, this one instant between not even existing and being in the stands watching the 4 and 20 elders cast their crowns at the throne and joining them in worship. And just like if those 2 things were on a piece of paper, if they were 2 columns when you didn't exist and when you do exist in eternity, and you drew a black line from the top of to the bottom of that page, that black line, that little dividing line, that's this time. Eternity. What on earth are you doing with your life? What are you expending your strength for? What are you breaking your health for? What are you giving to? Don't hate yourself in eternity, okay? Father, thank you for your goodness. Thank you, Lord God, for this one chance to do something for you, one chance to really show you that we love you, one chance to break our health, to put our dreams aside, to come up short so that you could profit. Thank you for this one chance. God, I pray that every one of these people, when they finally die or you come back and get us, I pray they will not hate themselves for what they didn't do. In Jesus' name I pray. Amen. Amen.
Let's go ahead and take our hymnals and turn to 397. 397, I have decided to follow Jesus. Many have come to the altar, but there's room once again if God spoke to you.
I have decided to follow Jesus. I have decided to follow Jesus. I have decided to follow Jesus. No turning back. No turning back.
Amen. Amen. Something struck me here tonight. I don't know how it is for everybody else. I guess I never really gave it a lot of thought, but I always thought somewhere in everybody's life the thought would finally dawn on you, I'm not going to be around here forever. And I know for me, I preached it. Saw it there in the Bible. Text you used tonight, you know, and many others like it. You know, what is your life? It is as a vapor. But, you know, in my heart of hearts, I really didn't believe it. You know what I'm talking about? There was always going to be mañana. You know, if I didn't get done today what I needed to get done, there's always going to be tomorrow. And I suspect in many cases, as people get older, that dawns on them slowly by observation, and you start to see the reality of it. When you're younger, if you've always had good health, it's pretty impossible to convince you that that's really the truth, because to you life is long, and that was the way it was for me until I hit 45, and the doctor said one word to me, and it was not gradual. It was instantaneous. When I heard that word leukemia, I was a believer. Right there, from then to this point. And, but you know what's interesting? Some people never do get it. You say, how'd you find that out, preacher? I'll tell you how. After I was diagnosed, not long after that, you know, I got some literature from the hospital, and they said, well, there's this support group, and you can go there, and I'll sit in a circle and talk. And so I thought, well, that might do me some good, it might not, but I know this, I could probably get a witness in. You know, a bunch of people with cancer, you know, got to be somebody thinking I'm going to die pretty soon and I need to be ready. Fair assessment? Yeah. Fair assumption? You'd be surprised how many people were not thinking about that. There was about 20 of us that day, and there were some folks in some pretty rough situations. I mean, their prognosis was not good. And I would say, other than two other Christians that were there, two gals that through their testimony you could tell they were believers, I heard no less than 10 of the 20 talk about how they were going to get to jackpot one last time. How they were going to do this or do that they never got a chance to do. And one guy said he was going to get back together in the next year, if he lived that long, with all 5 of his exes. Talk about a worthy goal. I didn't hear one person, other than, like I said, the 2 gals that I knew were Christians, because I talked to them later, make some reference to the Lord. I just let it rip. I mean, I took a few minutes and talked about the Lord and eternity and everything else. But you want to know something? For most of them, never got it. So I came to the conclusion that not everybody gets it. And I think it would be fair to say for us as believers, it's very possible to get to the end of our lives and get to the judgment seat of Christ, and just like Brother Gipp said, walk around and everybody we see, tell them, kick me, would you? And so I appreciate a message like that. Don't you? Don't you? Because you know what? And I hope this is true. I hope this is true for everybody in this room. I hope you can get to old age without anything, you know, jarring you like that. But if nothing does, at some point you got to get it. And it might just have to be an active thing, not a passive thing. Look at that Bible, believe what it says, hear a message like that, say, I get it, and get serious about serving the Lord. Because boy, oh boy, of all the things I learned through that little experience is that I don't have forever to get done what God wants me to do. And I don't have time to waste. In fact, to be honest with you, I got I got so rambunctious about it, I almost ran the staff into the ground for a while, thinking of new ministries we got to start doing. I'd call a staff meeting and they'd all be in my office looking at each other like, what now, you know? And I think I've balanced back out. I almost ran myself into the ground too, but a lot of truth in what was said tonight. And I'm appreciative of that, amen? And don't wait for the doctor to say one word to you, because it's true. We really, the past is the past. There's nothing we can do about it. Tomorrow, we don't have a guarantee, but we do have today. So make the most of it. And then you do what you're supposed to do today. You'll be where you're supposed to be tomorrow, and you can just take care of tomorrow and just keep moving on, because we really don't know how long we've got. But he's right. It doesn't matter if you live 20 years or 120 relative to eternity. It's the thickness of that sheet of paper. And so we have one short little opportunity to fulfill our stewardship of time, talent, and treasures. And when we get to heaven, it's done. I can't give anymore. I can't use my talents sacrificially for the Lord anymore. And I certainly can't serve him with my time, because my time is over. Father, thank you for your word tonight. May these words sink deep into our hearts and our souls. And Father, may they become a living reality to us each and every day for the rest of our lives, to your glory and honor. For it's in Jesus' name we pray. Amen. Amen. Good night.